Hello, welcome to Department of Collegiate Education, Digital E-Learning Management System. I am Dr. E. Srinivasa. In this video, I am going to explain some concept of cosmic rays, which is a chapter for 3rd BSc Physics students studying in 6th SEM in paper 8, Nuclear and Particle Physics. This is the video for session number 34. So let us study what is the latitude effect of the cosmic rays, east-west effect or east-west symmetry, and cosmic ray Shoyers in this video. First, we will study what is the altitude effect of the cosmic rays. The study of variation of cosmic ray intensity with altitude or height h is known as altitude effect. The study of variation of intensity of the cosmic rays with altitude or height is called altitude effect of cosmic rays. The intensity of cosmic rays was measured by measuring ionization produced by cosmic rays at different altitudes. This is very important. How they are measuring the intensity? The intensity of the cosmic rays was measured by measuring ionization produced by cosmic rays at different altitudes or heights. The variation of cosmic ray intensity with height is as shown in this figure. If we draw a graph of variation of intensity versus altitude, so the variation of the intensity of the cosmic rays is as shown in this figure. It is observed that the intensity rises slowly up to about 8 km. So the height is in a kilometer. Rises slowly up to about 8 km, after which the rise becomes fast up to about 19 to 24 km. At heights above the 24 km, the intensity of cosmic rays starts decreasing gradually. So, maximum intensity is not at the top of the atmosphere but well below it, because whenever a primary cosmic rays mainly consists of protons incident on the Earth's atmosphere. So they interact with the particles of the Earth's atmosphere. Secondary cosmic rays are produced, and whenever these secondary cosmic rays and primary cosmic rays interact with the other particles of the Earth's atmosphere, so just below the Earth's atmosphere, large number of these secondary cosmic rays are produced. That is why maximum intensity is not at the top of the atmosphere but well below it. The reason is that at this height, the primary cosmic ray produces a quite good number of secondary cosmic ray particles due to the interaction with the nuclei of atmospheric gases, as I explained. Due to this, abundance of cosmic ray particles is more at this height, with decrease of altitude on either side from 24 km. So absorption of the cosmic ray particles increases and therefore intensity falls from 24 km height. So with the decrease of altitude or height on either side, the absorption of the cosmic ray particles by the atmospheric gases increases. Therefore, intensity of the cosmic rays decreases with altitude or height. The experimental results are similar at different places of the Earth. So the intensity of the cosmic rays by the effect they were producing the ionization is measured at different places, say at 3 degree north latitude, 38 degree north latitude and 51 degree north latitude. So at all places the variation is same. Next one is east-west effect or east-west symmetry. So what is east-west effect or east-west symmetry? It is found that the number of cosmic ray particles coming from the west is greater than those coming from the east. This is called east-west effect and it is maximum at the equator. Once again, it is found that the number of cosmic ray particles coming from west is greater than those coming from east. This is called east-west effect and this east-west effect is maximum at the equator. Why the number of cosmic ray particles coming from west is greater than those from east? So let us discuss. At the equator, the number of particles coming from west is about 14% more than the particles coming from east. This reveals that the positively charged particle present in cosmic rays, the Earth's magnetic field, so deflects these charged particles, and also you know that the cosmic rays mainly consists of protons in the cosmic rays. The charged particles approaching the Earth's atmosphere are deflected by the Earth's magnetic field in a direction perpendicular to the magnetic field and to the direction of their motion. So dear all, we know that whenever a charged particle moving perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field, it experiences a force in a direction both perpendicular to the direction of the magnetic field and its direction of the motion. So according to the Fleming's left-hand rule, the positively charged particles are deflected towards east by the Earth's magnetic field and thus appears to come from the west from the vertical. So according to the Fleming's left-hand rule, if you apply the Fleming's left-hand rule to the movement of the cosmic ray charged particles with the direction of the magnetic field, the positively charged particles are deflected towards east by Earth's magnetic field and thus appears to come from the west of the vertical. Thus at any azimuth or position, more particles approach the Earth from the west than from the east. So this diagram shows how the Earth's magnetic field deflects the cosmic rays in different directions. Here, primary cosmic rays are entering into the Earth's atmosphere. So the primary cosmic rays moving vertically downwards, and there is a magnetic field around the Earth, and this magnetic field is geometric magnetic field is shown like this. This Earth's magnetic field shown in the figure is perpendicular to the plane of the paper, say along the z direction. This is along y direction. So therefore these charged particles experience a force along the x direction, say along the negative x direction. So the motion of the cosmic ray along negative y direction, the magnetic field is along negative z direction. Therefore the charged particles experience a force, whether it may be along the negative x-axis or positive x-axis, depending upon the nature of the charge present in them. So here the primary cosmic rays mainly consists of protons. When these positively charged protons enters perpendicularly to the direction of the Earth's magnetic field, they deflect it towards the east and appears to come from west. So if the charged particles are positively charged, they are deflected towards the east and appears to come from the west direction as shown in the diagram. Suppose if the cosmic rays consists of negatively charged particle, then they deflected towards the west and appears to come from east. If the cosmic rays consists of negatively charged particles. Then the negatively charged particles deflected towards the west and appears to come from east. Similarly, if the particles are negatively charged, they will be deflected towards the west and will appear to come from the east. Thus, if the particles were positively charged, more will arrive from the west and will appear to come from east. If they are negatively charged, more will arrive from the east than from the west. So, actual measurements show that at the equator, the intensity of the rays coming from the west is about 14% greater than that from the east direction. So, this shows comparatively positively charged particles are more in number in cosmic rays compared to the negatively charged particles, because here, according to actual measurements, at the equator, the intensity of the rays coming from the west is about 14% greater than that from the east direction. So, the number of positively charged particles, namely protons, are larger in the cosmic rays compared to the negatively charged particles. Hence, the primary cosmic rays are composed predominantly of positively charged particles, and their deflection from the Earth's magnetic field accounts for the east-west symmetry in cosmic ray intensity. So, this is how we can explain the east-west effect or symmetry. Next, cosmic ray showers or cascade theory of cosmic rays. It is the name given to a grouping of cosmic ray particles that have been produced by some common causes. When a primary cosmic ray produces many secondary particles, we call this as an cosmic ray shower. So you all know that whenever a primary cosmic ray is from distant stars and galaxies and even from our sun incident on the Earth's atmosphere, a large number of secondary cosmic rays are produced. This is called a cosmic ray shower. In order to explain the origin of cosmic ray showers, Rossi constructed an experimental arrangement with 3 coincidence counters in a triangular pattern, and that shielded by using lead block. When the primary cosmic ray particles pass through the lead block, the number of cosmic ray particles coming from the lead block is more as compared to that of the incident particles. That means primary cosmic rays incident with the matter, interact with the matter, they will produce secondary cosmic rays. This can be observed by Rossi, and he informed the shower producing of cosmic rays. Rossi results were explained by H.J. Baba and Hitler, and independently by Carlson and Oppenheimer. They give a cascade theory of cosmic ray showers. These 4 scientists independently gave cascade theory of cosmic ray showers. So what is cascade theory of cosmic ray showers? When a detecting device is used to study cosmic ray intensities, it is observed that the intensity rises momentarily to several times its normal value. It is observed that the intensity rises momentarily to several times its normal value, which indicates that sudden bursts of radiation takes place due to the interaction of the primary cosmic rays with the atmospheric particles, which produces large number of secondary cosmic rays. The cascade theory of cosmic ray shower shows that the shower production involves 2 processes. One is radiative collision or Bremsstrahlung, and the second one is pair production or production of electron-positron pair. what is radiative collision or Bremsstrahlung. So Bremsstrahlung means breaking of radiation or deacceleration of radiation. It is the electromagnetic radiation produced by the deacceleration or slowing down of a charged particle when deflected by another charged particle, especially electrons passing through matter in the vicinity of the strong electric field of atomic nuclei. That is, Bremsstrahlung means, or Bremsstrahlung or radiative collision means, it is the electromagnetic radiation produced by the deacceleration of a charged particle when deflected by another charged particle, especially electrons passing through matter in the vicinity of strong electric fields of the atomic nucleus. So you already know that Praed production is a production of electron-positron pair with when a high energy gamma photon interact with the atomic nucleus. A high energy electron or positron present in cosmic rays loses energy when it collides with the atomic nuclei in Earth's atmosphere. The energy appears as high energy photon. The photon interacts with the electric field of an atomic nucleus and is completely absorbed, resulting in the production of an electron-positron pair. Once again, the energy appears as high energy photon. So, which is whenever an electron-positron pairs annihilate, the photon interacts with the electric field of an atomic nucleus and is completely absorbed, resulting in the production of an electron-positron pair. The energy required for pair production is more than 1 MeV. This is very, very important. The energy required for pair production is more than 1 MeV. The electron and positron so produced have sufficient energy, that is more than 1 MeV, to produce more photons on interaction with the nuclei. These photons are further capable of bringing about pair production. The result is the generation of large number of photons, electron and positrons having a common origin as shown in this figure. The multiplication will continue until the initial energy becomes divided between the large number of pairs and the individual energies of the particles fall below the critical energy. So that is the critical energy is of the order of 1 MeV when photon emission and pair production can no longer occur. That means the multiplication of production of the secondary cosmic rays takes place until the energy of the protons, neutrons and positron electron pair is well below the critical energy. So you can see that here primary galactic cosmic radiation, cosmic rays consists of mainly protons. When these protons interact with the particles of the atmospheric gases, they will produce other secondary cosmic rays and also low energy protons and neutrons along with electron positron pairs, muons and also gamma photons, and also neutrinos can also emitted. And also you can clearly see how the primary cosmic rays incident on the Earth's atmosphere at a height about 35 km from the surface of the Earth, having an energy of 10 to the power 15 electron volt. The primary cosmic rays have an energy of about 10 to the power 15 electron volt. So incident on the particles of the Earth's atmosphere gases. So the secondary cosmic rays like low energy protons, neutrons, pions, muons and electron positron pairs along with the emission of the gamma ray photons are produced. Again, these protons, neutrons, pions interact with the other particles of the atmospheric gases. They go on multiplying, the producing of the secondary cosmic rays, until they reach energy below the critical energy. That is why a large number of secondary cosmic rays are produced all along the Earth's atmosphere, and only remaining cosmic rays will reach the Earth's surface at sea level. The first protons and neutrons interact further with atmospheric nuclei and produce a nucleonic shower of low energy neutrons and protons that reach the Earth's surface or sea level. The charged pions, positive pion and negative pion, which have rest mass of 273 times the mass of the electron, being short-lived, they have half-life of about only 2 into 10 power minus 8 second decay to give high energy mu mesons or muons of the same sign and a lightweight neutral particles called neutrino. So pions decays to give high energy muons and lightweighted neutral particles called neutrino. Recent determination of the rest mass of the mu meson gives its value as 207 times the rest mass of the electron. The mu meson interacts weakly with the nuclei. This is the reason why it possesses a very high penetrating power in matter and can reach the sea level after penetrating considerable distances. The mu mesons interacts weakly with the nuclei. This is the reason why it possesses a very high penetrating power in matter and can reach the sea level after penetrating considerable distances. So experiments have shown that at sea level, so mu mesons are very large in number because they will not interact strongly with the nuclei. If they interact strongly with the nuclei, they will absorb from the nucleus. But the mu mesons interact weakly with the nuclei. Thus, at sea level, a hard component of secondary cosmic rays, namely muons and some low energy nucleons, that is protons and neutrons, are present. At sea level, odd component of secondary cosmic rays consists mainly of strongly penetrating muons and some low energy nucleons, that is protons and neutrons. The charged muons, positive muon and negative muon, as such exhibit only a small tendency to interact with nuclei, and most of them decay to an electron-positron pair and 2 neutrinos, as the case may be. The number of particles therefore goes on multiplying and we get an cosmic ray shower. Thus, at low altitudes, the soft component of secondary cosmic rays mostly consists of electrons, positrons and gamma rays. At low altitudes, only soft component of secondary cosmic rays mostly consists of electrons, positrons and gamma rays are observed. The hard components accounts nearly 75% and the soft component about 25% of the cosmic rays at sea level. This is how we can explain the cascade theory of cosmic ray showers. So you all know that what is pair production and annihilation of matter. So the conversion of photon into an electron-positron pair on its interaction with the strong electric field surrounding a nucleus is called pair production. Conversion of energy into matter. Here photon is an energy. So it creates electron-positron pair with the interaction with the strong electric field surrounding a nucleus is called pair production. The next one is annihilation, that is conversion of matter into energy. The converse of pair production in which an electron and positron combine to produce 2 gamma photons is known as annihilation of matter. So I have used all these books as reference to make this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you once again.